Hey there guys, this is going to be the part 2 video to my Ron Paulk workbench build from about 3 months ago, where I built the top workbench that you see there. And today I'm going to show you how I built the lower steel frame, and that's pretty much it. So let's get to cutting some metal and then welding. So as you can tell, this steel is pretty rusty, and I've got to take this rust off before I do any welding, but it's not so much of a problem if you have the right tool for the job. And what I like to use is a wire wheel that attaches to my angle grinder. This is a cupped variety, so the wires will clean the rust off in both directions as you pass it over. So I'm going to show you how quick this cleans it up, and then all of these legs should be ready to weld to the other frame pieces. And if you're wondering if rusty metal is any worse than other metal, no, the rust just means it's cheaper, with the exception of if you have something that is rusted so bad that it started to pit the metal. But this is really just a very minor surface rust. So let me clean this off and we'll get to welding. Since I just got done cutting a bunch of steel and the lower frame of this workbench is all going to be welded steel, let me start this off by just giving you a quick tour of my welder, since I don't often cover it when I do welding related videos. I just start cutting metal and welding it together. So anyway, the welder is a Forney 190 MP, meaning it's a multi-process welder. It'll do MIG, stick, and TIG. Most commonly, probably 80% of the time, I use MIG, and that's what I'm going to be using today. It is on a welding cart that I made just a few years ago. I got a video on it if you want to check that out. It's got a little slide out drawer and lots of little areas to hang angle grinders, the nozzle of the MIG torch, and just various little things like that. But anyway, probably one of the most common questions that I get from people is how I know what to set my settings at. And honestly, I just use the beginner phase for most things. I just figure out the thickness of my metal, and I open up this door right here, and it will give you guidance on MIG, stick, or TIG based on the thickness of metal, as far as your wire speed, amperage, all of that good stuff. Let me get this guy turned on and we'll start welding. Alright, so now that the welding is done, I am ready to prime and paint this. I first started off just by cleaning everything with soap and water to get the base layer of oils off, and then I wiped everything down with 2 coats of mineral spirits, and now I'm going to prime it and paint it with, you guessed it, dark machine gray, which is what I like to call Homesteadonomics gray. So the next clip you're going to see is of this all painted, and then I'll put the caster wheels, workbench top on, and maybe a couple other things I'm kind of thinking about. Well, my pants just took another catastrophic rip, so I'm just going to finish them off here on video, and maybe it'll be interesting. Bam! Ready for more. Well, now that the lower framework is finally finished, you can see that I have installed my Ron Paulk inspired workbench top onto the top of it. It is secured by way of carriage bolts through the lower portion of those cubbies and then through the top portion of the metal framework. And this thing is rock solid. If you're wondering about the casters, I got these from Amazon. They are a swivel caster, and when you lock them, it locks both the swiveling mechanism as well as the wheel rolling, and they actually work pretty darn well. And if you're wondering about that lower shelf, that will probably eventually house my table saw. I'll probably take it off of its temporary stand, and the next portion of this build, I'm going to come up with something on the end of this where I can secure my table saw there so that I can use this as the outfeed table, as you've seen me use in some of the recent videos. So I don't know if I'm going to have something coming from these cubbies or something coming from underneath the framework to hold the table saw, but that will probably be a future video, probably in the next couple of months or so. So I think that's pretty much it. There's really nothing more to it. It's just a very strong, overbuilt metal frame, and I'm happy with it. Alright guys, that is going to do it for this video, but not completely for the project. As I did mention, I will eventually be adding some sort of table saw extension or addition to the end of this so that I can use it as an outfeed table, as I have in some previous videos. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. If you are interested in how I built this first workbench, I'll put a link in the upper corner or down in the description to the part 1 video. Again, this is a Ron Paulk design. It's not my design. I kind of tweaked it a little bit to my own specifications, but the general kind of look of it and inspiration is definitely all Ron Paulk. So I would encourage you to check out his videos or his plans if you want to build something similar. As for the lower framework, that's 100% me. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it. Hit the subscribe button if you want to see more similar content. And I will see you later. See ya.